The world today feels fragile. We are divided. Lines are drawn in the sand, not between nations, but within them. Extremism, like a virus, infects minds, turning neighbor against neighbor. Political polarization deepens these wounds, pushing us further apart. We are a species on edge, teetering on the precipice of chaos. This division is not new. History is replete with examples of societies torn apart by ideological differences. But the speed at which information travels today, fueled by the internet and social media, amplifies these divisions. Echo chambers form online, reinforcing biases and making dialogue nearly impossible. The consequences are dire. Political discourse devolves into shouting matches. Violence, both physical and verbal, becomes commonplace. Trust, the bedrock of any functional society, erodes, leaving behind suspicion and fear. We become blind to our shared humanity, seeing only enemies where there could be allies. The path we are on is unsustainable. We cannot continue down this road of division and expect to build a better future. We must find a way back to each other, to rediscover our capacity for empathy and understanding. The stakes are simply too high to ignore. Religion, a source of comfort and guidance for many, has often been twisted, its teachings manipulated to serve violent ends. Extremist groups, across different faiths, cherry-pick scriptures, twisting their meaning to justify acts of terror and oppression. They prey on the vulnerable, offering a dangerous mix of certainty and belonging in a world often perceived as chaotic and unjust. This weaponization of religion is not limited to fringe groups. Throughout history, powerful actors have invoked divine mandate to justify wars, conquests, and oppression. The Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, the Rwandan genocide, all stand as chilling reminders of the human capacity for violence in the name of God. This manipulation is a betrayal of faith's true essence. At their core, most religions preach peace, compassion, and love. They call for unity, not division. They emphasize the inherent dignity of every human being, regardless of their beliefs. To combat religious extremism, we must expose the lie at its heart. We must reclaim the narrative, emphasizing the true teachings of peace and understanding that lie at the heart of most faiths. Education is key, fostering critical thinking and challenging dogma with reason and compassion. The United States, once a beacon of democracy and unity, is now a nation deeply divided. The political spectrum has become a chasm, with the left and right seemingly unable to find common ground. Both sides, entrenched in their own narratives, view the other with suspicion, distrust, and often outright hostility. The left, often associated with progressivism and social justice, advocates for government intervention in addressing societal issues like inequality and climate change. They see themselves as champions of the marginalized, fighting for a more equitable and just society. The right, on the other hand, prioritizes individual liberty and limited government. They often champion traditional values, advocating for free markets and a strong national defense. They see themselves as defenders of freedom, wary of government overreach and erosion of personal liberties. This simplistic dichotomy, however, fails to capture the nuances within each side. Both the left and right encompass a spectrum of views, from moderates seeking compromise to extremists clinging to rigid ideologies. Painting either side with a broad brushstroke ignores the diversity of thought within each camp. This polarization is exacerbated by a media landscape that profits from division. News outlets, often with their own agendas, cherry-pick stories and present information through a partisan lens. Social media algorithms create echo chambers, reinforcing existing biases and limiting exposure to diverse viewpoints. War, in all its brutality, is often justified through the insidious process of dehumanization. By stripping away the humanity of the other, be it a different religion, ethnicity, or political ideology, it becomes easier to justify violence against them. They become monsters, demons, threats to be eliminated, not human beings deserving of empathy and respect. Propaganda plays a crucial role in this process. Enemy soldiers are depicted as faceless hordes, their suffering minimized or ignored. Leaders are demonized, their actions portrayed as inherently evil and their motives suspect. Fear and anger are stoked, drowning out any voices of reason or compassion. This dehumanization allows ordinary people to commit extraordinary acts of cruelty. Soldiers, conditioned to see the enemy as less than human, are more likely to carry out atrocities. Civilians, bombarded with propaganda, may turn a blind eye to war crimes or even condone them. The psychological toll of dehumanization is profound. It erodes our shared humanity, making it easier to justify violence against anyone perceived as different. It creates a climate of fear and suspicion, poisoning relationships and undermining efforts at peace building.